Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, led today by Lindsay Martin. And good morning to everyone. I can't see Mandy the list, but good morning to all of you, honorable members and colleagues. We are now at 9:29. We can start the meeting. There is an agenda before us, flighted by Mandy. We'll then proceed, honorable members. I've been told by Mandy that we are cooperating. Honorable members, let me welcome all of you and welcome the Department on Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, led today by the Deputy Minister and Lindsay Martin. And of course, I know that also we are joined by the States SA, led by the Deputy Minister, Honorable Nangaba, and also the acting, the Statistician General, and all of you, honorable members. Today, honorable members, we're going to receive, and of course, in the next meeting, we'll consider also this report and this presentation on the annual performance plans and budget allocations of the department on planning, monitoring and evaluation and the statistics of South Africa for their current financial year. And honorable members, these briefings are a critical component of Parliament constitutional oversight function, enabling the committee to assess the policy coherence, the strategic focus, and the effective utilization of the public funds. And the annual performance plans that is before us, they've been emailed and also they've been posted in our group, outline the priorities, the targets, and the indicators through which these departments seek to advance evidence-based planning, monitoring, and evaluation. And of course, the production of official statistics in support of the national development objectives. And equally, honorable members, it's important that also the alignment between these plans and the allocated budgets, as this committee must be satisfied that resources are directed towards programs that deliver measurable impact and value for money. The committee will also today pay close attention to how these departments are responding to challenges that have been identified in our previous oversight engagements, the Auditor General's findings, and then the previous recommendations of Parliament. And honorable members, we expect frank engagement, clarity on risks and mitigation measures, and an indication of how interdepartmental coordination will be strengthened where required. And on that, honorable members, I will then move because I've welcomed all of you. Then I will then quickly go to the apologies and of course the adoption of the agenda. I know that I received a letter that Honorable Trolip is withdrawn from this portfolio committee, but I see is in the meeting. And of course, there's an apology of Honorable Marupin Ramokhupa and also Honorable Chaveni. We're told there's a cabinet meeting today that also clash with our portfolio committee. And also there's an apology of Honorable Kumbaca and Honorable Chauke, and also the apology of the acting DG, Advocate Makobe, but of course the department is led also by the Deputy Minister and also Lindsay. And those are the apologies we have received, honorable members. And I've also welcomed all of you. I'm then moving to the adoption of the agenda, honorable members. Honorable Trolip.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. Chair, indeed, I will be leaving this portfolio committee as a full member, but I hope to remain as an alternate. I am going to be moving to the Oversight Committee on the Presidency. Hence my presence here today, despite saying I will be leaving the committee. I'm going to try and arrange that I remain as an alternate. Thanks very much, Chair.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Trolip. Honorable members, I've welcomed everyone. I'm taking hands to adopt the agenda with two presentations. The first presentation, the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, that will be then followed by the Statistics South Africa. Honorable Apiri, I see that your mic is open.
Thanks very much, Honorable Chair, and a very good morning to yourselves and honorable members and the DMs, honorable deputy ministers present in this meeting and their entourages. Maybe let me start with that one of Honorable Trolip to say, now that he has officiated the matter of him being withdrawn from this committee. Now, the explanation that he has made must also be done in writing. And I therefore, Honorable Chair, move for the adoption of this agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Apiri. And then, honorable members and colleagues, I'm inviting the Deputy Minister to do the introductory remarks that will then followed by the presentation.
Sorry, Chair, just before the Deputy
Yes,
Minister.
I see also the hand of Honorable Trolip.
Yeah, just for clarity, I can't put that in writing until I've got permission to be an alternate. But members of Parliament can attend any political portfolio meeting. So, in the absence of a formal recognition of being an alternate, I'll be attending in my capacity as a member of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Just before I hand over to the DM, I know that the agenda has been adopted by Honorable Apir, and I'm taking a hand, Honorable Members, to second the Honorable Apir. I was disturbed also by a land call. Any second, Honorable Members, for the adoption of the agenda? Honorable Dunjwa?
Morning, Chair, and morning to all leaders. Protocol observed. I formally move. I, Mirelin Dundwa, formally move for the adoption. Second, the adoption of the agenda by Honorable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dunjwa. I'm handing over, Honorable Deputy Minister, Honorable Seiso. Is Honorable Seiso in the meeting? Because I can't see. I'm using a
Yes, Chair. Yeah, good morning, Chairperson. And thanks very much for the invitation that I make remarks on behalf of the department. And I also want to restate that the minister, as you correctly said, is attending a cabinet committee meeting on a long-standing item that should be processed prior to the cabinet meeting. So that's the apology. And some of the officials are as well joining the minister and also senior officials that are delegated who are responsible for the subject that we are dealing with today. So thank you very much, Chairperson, and also the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee and officials of the department that are here, and ladies and gentlemen of the media joining us through various platforms. Today, we are here to present the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation Annual Performance Plan for the 2026-27 financial year. This plan is a testament to our unwavering commitment to advancing the priorities of the 7th administration and the National Development Plan 2030, as well as the medium-term plan 2024-2029. Our mandate is quite clear, is to drive the effective planning, robust monitoring, rigorous evaluation across government, and ensuring that our strategic intervention translate into tangible improvements in the lives of South Africans. The DPME plays a central role in coordinating government-wide planning, monitoring the implementation of the MTDP, evaluating the impact of programs, and supporting cabinet decision-making. This enables improved alignment. This enables improved alignment, oversight, performance across the state. Hence, the department's annual performance plan is anchored in the National Development Plan, Vision 2030, and MTDP. The MTDP is aligned to the priorities of the Government of National Unity. The department supports the implementation of the 3 key priorities of the 7th administration, that is driving inclusive growth and job creation, reducing poverty and the cost of living, and building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. Through strengthened governance, enhanced capacity, and increased use of evidence in decision-making, we aim to deliver improved developmental outcomes. To achieve this impact, the department will be focusing on strengthening governance and institutional capacity, improving government-wide planning, enhancing monitoring of implementation, increase the use of evidence in decision-making, and strengthening stakeholder engagement. Our program span administration, planning coordination, sector monitoring, public sector monitoring and capacity development, and evidence evaluation and knowledge systems. This program is designed to support the alignment of plans across government, monitor service delivery, and foster evidence-based decision-making. Our performance is measured through clear outputs, indicators, and targets, ensuring accountability and transparency in all our actions. We are committed to strengthening the planning system, improving monitoring and reporting, and enhancing accountability to the portfolio committee in particular, and Parliament in general. To conclude, Chairperson, it is my privilege to introduce the Acting DDG, Mr. Lindsay Martin, our Acting Deputy Director General in the department, together with the team that he's with. And the official will now provide a thorough overview of the annual performance to the committee. We also believe that the committee will receive a clear and detailed presentation of our objectives and measures in place to advance the national development goals. Thank you, Chairperson. With your permission, I'll request that Mr. Lindsay Martin to introduce in fact, to lead the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable TM.
Thank you, DM. Chair, let me just share the presentation quickly. I see is it possible maybe just to add me to share the presentation? I see it's been disabled, or can someone share it?
Mandy, I think will help you, Linz.
While that's happening, also just to say good morning, Chair, and to the committee members. We've got from my side, and as the DM highlighted, I'm currently standing in for the acting DG. We've also got members from all of the different programs within DPME, who will then also be able to respond to some of the issues. We can move to the next slide. Thank you. So, at a high level, we're going to be presenting on the key outputs within the 2026-27 annual performance plan, also highlight what are the key deliverables and how those are aligned to the national priorities as well. So in terms of the mandate of DPME, we continue to work on essentially integrating planning, monitoring, and evaluation. And this is in line with the key strategic plans of government, What we also do where we find systemic failures, we also have strategic interventions to assist with course correction. Next slide. So in terms of the strategic context, two key plans that support the work of DPME, both the National Development Plan as the long-term plan, but also then the medium-term development plan for this 7th administration, and that anchors the work of government. The three strategic priorities of the MTDP essentially guide the work of DPME. That includes driving inclusive growth and job creation, reducing poverty and the cost of living, and then finally building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. In terms of priorities at a high level for DPME, we coordinate the planning system across government. That also includes alignment and integration with, for example, the medium-term plan. We then monitor implementation of that plan and escalate issues to Cabinet for underperformance, and then finally evaluate impact programs where needed to get a better sense as to whether we're achieving particular outcomes. And key to this is then also supporting and advising Cabinet in terms of decision making. The impact statement for the department is essentially to improve developmental outcomes, and this is through effective implementation of the MTDP, where we provide oversight of planning, monitoring, and evaluation. The key outcomes for each of the programs, I won't go through all of these, but basically these support the MTDP by improving government-wide planning, monitoring, and evaluation. A key component is then also the stakeholder engagement, which we have both within government, but also with non-state actors, academia, civil society, etc., because they are also key to support implementation of the NDP. The logic, which the DM also spoke about, in terms of the APP, we have a set of outputs, indicators, and targets, and this then allows us to track performance within the financial year. This is the same sort of results-based logic that we also follow in terms of the medium-term plan. In terms of the programs, these are the key programs of the department. Administration is sort of transversal across all departments. Planning coordination integrates both the work of National Planning Coordination and the work of the National Planning Commission Secretariat. We then have sector monitoring, public sector monitoring, and capacity building, which plays a role in terms of a capable state. And then finally, evaluation, evidence, and knowledge systems, which is partly transversal, but this then also manages the evaluation plan that we have. So I'll go into a bit of detail in all of these. We can maybe move to the next slide, which then talks a bit of, in terms of the detail of each of these. So, I mean, I won't go through all of these, but just key ones, Chair. I mean, continuing to work towards unqualified audit outcomes, 100% submission in terms of compliance, in terms of the disclosure requirements, and then working to reduce the vacancy rate. That then also links to the organizational structure, which we are reviewing. That includes integrating the old DPE functions in terms of SOE reform, but also integrating the planning functions to then better support alignment with the NPC. Next slide. Then in terms of some compliance requirements, both in terms of PFMA, making sure we process invoices within 30 days, and then in terms of preferencing, we have preferencing requirements in terms of the procurement system for women, youth, and persons with disabilities as well. Currently, the SOE or the public entity reform work is in Program 1. The organizational review will relook at that. But some of the key work that will be important, firstly, the white paper process. Again, there's just a minor error there. I see the annual target is duplicated. That should be white paper concluded and submitted to Cabinet in this financial year. That will then inform work that we do to update the planning, monitoring, and evaluation bill. so going beyond the current planning bill, and then also monitoring progress in key SOE reforms, given the work that the unit will do. And the SOE bill is currently before the committee as well. Next slide. In terms of Program 2, planning coordination, we can then maybe just move to each of the outputs. So firstly, as highlighted in Program 2, we deal with both the support to the National Planning Commission. So that then includes the reports generated for the NDP in terms of its progress, in terms of outcomes, key stakeholder engagements undertaken to support the NPC work, and then the annual report of the NPC itself in terms of the work that it has to do. Next slide. As part of that then organizational redesign, we are then also integrating the planning work within DPME. That includes the assessment reports that we undertake to assess the draft strategic plans and annual performance plans for departments, which we do on an annual basis. And that's also to check compliance, but also alignment to the medium-term development plan. And then we set the reporting requirements through guidelines for national and provincial departments for these as well. Program 3 then deals with monitoring components. So this is the oversight work we do in terms of the MTDP. The MTDP biannual reports, which we produce, and these measure progress in terms of the achievement of the MTDP. And these are also then taken to Cabinet, where we make recommendations and proposals for escalation and where we need to intervene. Supporting the Cabinet Secretariat in terms of briefing notes for Cabinet memos is key. And then there are a range of monitoring reports that we also do apart from the MTDP. And these are then on specific priority issues coming out of the MTDP, for example, implementation on international agreements, which we monitor. Next slide. And then just some more examples of those, what we would almost call bespoke type monitoring reports. Monitoring work in terms of climate change is one we'll be doing, issues in terms of teacher stock covering, and then following up on the commitments we've made in terms of the G20 on the development working group and how we take that work forward. Next slide. And then additional bespoke work, for example, to support strategic priority 1 in terms of inclusive growth, monitoring the rural economy in terms of the rural development strategy, work on industrial parks to support industrialization, and finally work in terms of infrastructure interventions. So all of these are key because these are almost subcomponents of interventions in the MTDP, and they are key there for programs. Then within the local government space, in terms of strategic priority 3, monitoring the municipal performance turnaround strategy, fast-tracking or assessing the integrated fast-tracking delivery mechanisms, and then finally the MTDP midterm review report, given that within 2026-27, in the latter part of that, we are moving towards the midterm of this administration, and therefore we need to assess progress in terms of that, and then also identify corrective actions for the remainder of the 7th administration. In terms of Program 4, public sector monitoring and capacity development, so this largely supports the work in terms of a capable state, but also in terms of frontline monitoring work that we do to assess actual performance on the ground. So, it's monitoring capability of national and provincial governments, work to oversee frontline delivery performance for the MTDP itself, monitoring the dispute resolutions in terms of the presidential hotline performance, and then PME capacity building developments in terms of the plan we oversee. We also then monitor the National Anti-Corruption Strategy, and that's done in collaboration with the presidency as well, given that DPME also supports that work, and that's to get a sense of the extent to which this is being institutionalized across the system. And then the final program is evidence, evaluation, evidence, and knowledge systems. So this includes firstly the evidence plans, the extent to which those are being implemented, the National Evaluation Plan, which was approved by Cabinet, so the reports linked to that, and then in terms of the research reports that we produce to assess is evidence being translated into decisions, and this sort of complements the research work as well that the National Planning Commission does. And then in terms of the technical work that we do to support government institutions as well, key reports there. And then finally, two key targets, the Development Indicators Report, which is a key report to assess whether government is achieving the goals and outcomes of the NDP, and that work will then also support the midterm review process. And then finally, DPME has been working on the MTDP integrated reporting system for quite a while. And this, we're now moving into the phase of implementation, and that will then allow us to improve performance reporting within the MTDP itself. Just go back maybe to the recommendations or the conclusion, but basically what we've highlighted, I mean, the APP focuses on the key strategic priorities of government. We then also seek to align the budgets to that. There is a second presentation, Chair, just to outline the program budget information, which CFO will do for us. If that can then also just be shared from the Secretariat side. And then I'll hand over to the CFO. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Yes.
Sorry, apologies.
Proceed, therefore.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members, the deputy ministers, and the colleagues. Can we move the slides, please? I will be very brief. The next slide, slide 30. The budget of the department for the 2026-27 APP is 532 million. And we've also outlined the MTF budget, indicative budget allocations. The budget of the department in terms of increase, it is about 4%. The allocation per program, that was the previous slide, it's showing the allocation per program. In terms of the allocation per program, can we have the previous slide, please? Per program, yes. That is the allocation per program. Included in program one's budget allocation is the budget for the ministry, which forms about 18% of the allocation of program one. And then also in program one, we've got a allocation of shared services under goods and services, which includes rental for office accommodation, cleaning contract, security services, ICT, and audit fees. And in program two, the main cost driver is the MPC commissioners and consultants and for research. And then in program four, the main allocation of in goods and services is the presidential hotline. And then the budget allocation per economic classification, the next slide. Under COE, the department is allocated 388 million. In the previous year, it was 347. The marginal increase is mainly for cost of living allowance and on performance assessment payouts. In terms of growth for the capacity of the department for human resources, it's difficult for the department to grow because there is no increase
to fund the entire structure of the organizational structure of the department. In terms of goods and services, in the 2026-27 financial year, we're getting 135 million compared to 161 million of the previous financial year. Though in the previous financial year, we had to do a virement to increase the budget to the 161. In terms of transfers, we have an additional funding allocation that we're given of 5.6 million. That 5.6 million, it is meant to pay for early retirement and severance packages for the officials that are leaving now, that have left on the 31st of March 2026. For capital payments, we only have an allocation of 2.8 million. And of that allocation in goods and services, for instance, the budget already, 58% of the budget is committed in multi-year contracts. So the difference of 42%, that is what we have to carry out the APP. Also, for capital payments, 68% of that is already committed in multi-year contracts of lease photocopies, and the difference of 900,000. It's mainly for procuring for assets for the financial year, which is not much. In terms of the next slide, it is just a repetition of the past two slides, wherein now we're detailing the allocation per program, per economic classification, but it's covering what was covered in the two slides that we've done per program, per economic classification. We're just showing per each program how much is the allocation for compensation of employees and for goods and services and capital payments. Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CFO, and thank you for the presentations from the department. Honorable members, now we are taking hands for the discussions from the reports that have been presented before us. I'm taking hands, honorable members. There's a hand of Honorable Bergman, Honorable Trolip, Honorable Dunjwa, Honorable Apir. I will. Okay, those are the four hands. I'm handing over. Honorable.
Sorry, Chair. I'm struggling to raise my hand. I'm so sorry to disturb you. I'm also raising my hand.
Okay. Honorable Bergman.
Chair, thanks very much. Just from our side, I remember last time they showed us a lovely live program, which was a way to measure, almost to oversight from centrally the MTDP. They could, if municipalities said that they were 20% in terms of building a stadium or whatever the case may be, they could go onto this program and they could go and see exactly just how far this municipality was in measuring that MTDP. How far are we in terms of launching that actual program, from actually going into all the automatically being able to measure those key performance indicators at the different should I say departments and the various provinces have measured into the MTDP itself? And then secondly, just in terms of a follow-up, we went to the fruit and veg market in Mpumalanga. They said that they would be open by now. Are they open just as a way to measure in terms of how we're following up? Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Beckman. Honorable Trollip.
Thank you very much, Chair. My observation and question is pretty much a follow-up what Honorable Bergman said. I spent a day yesterday in agriculture doing exactly the same exercise with the APPs for agriculture. And I must say, listening to all the objectives and general targets that were presented to us is all well and good, especially around things like achieving a clean audit, improved governance and administration. They're all pretty generic. I mean, you could attend any committee in Parliament that's going through the APPs, and you'll see that these are very generic reports. And that's fine. We've got to go through the motions. But my concern, Chair, is that state-owned enterprises falls squarely under this department. There was some mention in the presentation around state-owned enterprise reform, monitoring and evaluation of capacity and performance of state-owned entities, and also that the state-owned entity bill is before Parliament. Now, my question is, if we have the NDP and we have a National Planning Commission that is the custodian of the NDP, and that the two of them provide development indicators and reports around performance of government, then why are we not picking up that our state-owned enterprises have all but collapsed? Chair, I remember going with the committee to visit Denel, the South African Post Office, Stats SA, and also going to visit SAA, where we got this beautiful presentation about how well SAA was doing and that it had made a profit. And we all left there quite buoyed, especially that SAA was our last visit after the depressing visit to Denel and the post office. But now we know that Denel is finished, on its knees, in fact, in intensive care. The post office is bankrupt, and apparently SAA have been misrepresenting their figures. Now, why are we not talking about these things? Because we are the Department of Monitoring and Evaluation that is supposed to monitor and evaluate to make sure that these state-owned enterprises are performing. But they're all failing, which is an indictment on this department and on this committee. Why is that happening under our watch? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Trollip. Honorable Dunjwa.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for the Deputy Minister's remarks, in opening remarks and the presentation. In appreciating the report, Chair, I am more in the same in the same level of frustration and yeah, of frustration as Honorable Trollip has outlined, because I'm not quite sure. Maybe the Deputy Minister will explain that. In fact, reports are written in such a way that we will think everything is okay. When we then have to conduct an oversight physically in a particular department, it's either it is not what has been in the report, or something has happened after we have visited, and that does not reflect. Two, in page 18 and slide 18 and slide 21, it's generic, 2 provinces. Is it not, are they not supposed to indicate, to reflect which provinces? Are you talking about Limpopo? Are you talking about Eastern Cape? Must we think about it? Because we have got a responsibility. Our constituencies are in these provinces. We reside in these provinces. So, in my understanding, these reports give us a benefit of us to be able to say, in fact, Prophet X, I'm in the Eastern Cape, said, but monitoring and evaluating it reflected ABCD. I would think maybe I'm subject to correction. If how reports are then returned by departments, I think it's going to be about time that as members we really think about the better way of then writing reports, because what we got as reports and what we will then reflect in terms of our oversight report, it then becomes something that I don't understand. The last question is, if you have got a problem with COE, cost of employment, for crying out aloud, why are you using consultants in research? You have money to pay consultants. I may have missed it, but I think in moving forward, we must then get how much you are utilizing for consultants. It is frustrating that there is a challenge in terms of cost of employment, in terms of staff, but you will still use why? Is it capacity challenge, or is it what? If chair, those can be reflected, because at the end, and I will then be corrected if I'm wrong, even by the DM, this report is not assisting us to monitor, to have an understanding of exactly in the monitoring and evaluation, what is it? Maybe it is my misunderstanding of what is monitoring and evaluation means in terms of this department, and it reflecting in its report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Tunja. Honorable Phiri.
Thanks very much, Honorable Chair. Let me join Honorable Dunjwa in appreciating the reports. And Chair, our observation is that the department is taking a review of the organizational structure, whilst it is also developing legislation which might impact how it is organized. Then the question is, if the department will be undertaking a white paper review and introduce a legislative framework, it is possible that the process will lead to the changes that require an organizational review process. What gaps are being filled by the current review process? That's the question in terms of that of the observation, Chair. And also the department has highlighted the fiscal constraints and budget misalignment with the MTDP, and there are no clearly defined interventions and how the department monitors them. The National Treasury is developing various funding mechanisms which require a focus by the department to ensure strategic prioritization of gaps. What is the financial gap of the fiscal framework and the medium-term development plan, and how is the department monitoring resource mobilization to close those gaps to ensure targets in the results framework are achieved? This department, Chair, does not have a strategic focus on private sector participation, which is equally critical to attain the national interest. The question, therefore, is what indicator focuses on monitoring private investment in key MTDP programs? Let me rest there, Chair. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Apiri, Honorable Zuma, followed by Honorable Christie.
Morning, colleagues. Morning, Chair. I'm sorry for interrupting you earlier on. I now found my hand. I think week after week, we come here and the department presents. But I've noticed a pattern in the presentation of the department that it uses a blanket approach. Now, when you use a blanket approach across departments and across municipalities and SOEs, we never really get to the planning and the monitoring and the evaluation of these different departments, SOEs, etc. So I would kindly advise, and maybe also be advised by my colleagues, that maybe the approach in how the presentations are done should be a bit more different in terms of, if this week we are dealing with SOEs, then there should be a specific presentation on SOEs so that we're able to identify the problems that are currently that are the realities that we are facing now. And then these are my questions. I just have a few. Where the department repeatedly refers to development of white paper and bill on planning, monitoring, and evaluation, yet no clear timelines, legislative pathway, or current authority are presented. On what legal basis is the department currently enforcing compliance across government departments? By what date will the white paper enable legislation to table before Parliament for scrutiny? And then my other question is the performance merits versus real outcomes. The app relies heavily on outputs such as reports, guidelines, and briefing notes, rather than measurable improvements measurable improvements in service delivery outcomes. What specific quantifiable improvements in citizens' lives or conditions can be directly attributed by the DPME interventions over the past financial year? How will this app shift from compliance reporting to real outputs? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zuma. Honorable Christie.
Thank you, Chair. When I look at this, I sort of want to, I don't know, I have a lot of conflicting thoughts, because it's almost like the emperor is riding on his horse and he's naked and everybody's cheering him for his wonderful outfit. But as Honorable Trollop mentioned, our SOEs are failing, especially the main ones. And yet our department exists to monitor and evaluate and then present a set of recommendations that they hope will be implemented. But clearly they're not being implemented. So my question is, last year, the department was monitoring 48 SOEs. Quite a lot of them. A very important one is PRASA. That's one of our absolute key ones. It's quite significant SOEs.
Apologies, Chair. I think we've lost Honorable Christie from our side. We can't hear. I'm just checking.
Mandy, can you check Honorable Christie?
Yes, Chair.
My apologies, sorry. How can we as MPs assist you? Because your function is rather like ours. It's oversight of government departments and enterprises. How can we assist you to enforce implementation of your recommendations and actually bring change? Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members, DM and your team. Those are the questions and, of course, comments from honorable members. And I so wish that the department also, from what have been raised by Honorable Dunjo and Honorable Sholip, visit one of our SOE that we, as this portfolio committee, visited in our oversight this year, SAFCOL in Mpumalanga. We went there, we then found out there are a lot of challenges that affect the operations of that entity. And as part of your responsibility, we will request that the department visit SAFCOL in Mpumalanga. As honorable members have spoken in terms of the challenges and, of course, the collapse of some of these entities. I know that also Honorable Christ have posted in our group one of the entities and, of course, the problems. And there are a lot of things happening, and I will wish that at some point also we discuss with this portfolio committee some of the challenges in different municipalities and in different departments at the provincial level. But of course, and we also note, honorable members, the budget constraint of this department. And also, we have also, note that some of the budget of the department goes to the program one, the administration, and rather than the other programs, especially the program 2 and the program 3 and the program 4 of the department. But I will then hand over to the team to respond to some of the questions that have been raised by the members, and of course give the DM also to respond to some of the issues related to the political questions from the members. I'm handing over to you, Martin, and your team.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks to all the honourable members as well for the questions. Maybe just as a general comment overall, I mean, some useful comments and questions as well that we can take forward. I mean, one issue, I suppose, that we also grapple with is the structure of the APP itself. So, I mean, what we tried to present today was the overarching program for the entire department, which is what the APP does. But within each of those outputs, there is then additional reports and information. So when I think, as Honorable Zuma was saying, what would be useful, I mean, given that this sets up our program for the year, is when each of those, either the oversight reports or the evaluation reports are produced, is then to come back to the committee with the detail, because those are the reports that will actually tell you where are the systemic failures and what are the recommendations that DPME is making. And in most cases, we also take that to Cabinet. So, I mean, I think having sort of dual reporting both into Cabinet, but also keeping the committee abreast of the recommendations as was suggested will definitely then help. I mean, that responds to the issue that Honourable Christie also highlighted about where the committee could maybe assist. Let me firstly just deal with the systems and performance issues raised by Honourable Bergman. So there are two systems that we've been developing. I mean, they will be integrated over time. So the one is the MTDP integrated reporting system. So that one tracks the targets and indicators in the medium-term development plan itself. And I mean, we've shared that with the committee previously, so we can definitely come back and show those dashboards as part of the performance reporting. We also then have the geospatial information management system, which we launched last year, and we had also done a demo on that to the committee previously. So that system allows us then to track spatially where projects are happening across different spaces of government, so within the intergovernmental system. That is being piloted because we only launched the strategy last year. I mean, I think when we shared this with the committee, but as we then enforce that, it will be useful as well to keep the committee abreast, to say these are the projects that are lagging across either municipalities, provinces, or public entities in cases where needed. So the tools are definitely there. It's just making sure we institutionalize and embed these within the system. I'm just going to ask Mr. Edwin Bessa as well, just to talk to some of the SOE reform issues that a few of the committee members raised. And again, the detail is in the reports. But Mr. Bessa, let me just hand over to you, and then you can talk about the work on the SOE reform side.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, members of the Portfolio Committee. Good morning, colleagues. Yes, I'll talk to the SOE reforms that we are doing. In 2025, as well as 2026, the President in the State of Nation address mentioned the establishment of the SOE Reform Unit that will drive and coordinate the work of reforming the SOEs. And we've started with that work. And some of the initiatives that we are doing are, for example, developing the guideline for board appointments, board and CEO appointments, which we did present to the committee, I think a few weeks back. We also doing the rationalization of the state-owned entities. And part of that rationalization includes the restructuring of the SOEs, the repositioning of those SOEs, and to make sure that they perform optimally to contribute to the national economic development. We're also working with the National Treasury to develop the standard remuneration framework so that what is paid to the board members and CEOs is equitable to the work that they are doing. And so we're carrying out a lot of initiatives to make sure that the SOEs perform optimally. One of the things that we have done in developing the guide for board appointments is that we also want to include that in the National State Enterprise Bill, so that it's not only a guide, so it also becomes enforceable. Once it's legislated, once it's in the National State Enterprise Bill, then it's legislated, and therefore board members will be appointed on merit, as the President had stated in the State of Nation address in 2026. He said that there is going to be a standard for board appointment so that we have merit-based appointments, and so that once they're appointed based on merit, then they're going to perform to the best of their ability to improve the performance of the SOEs. We are working with the National School of Governance, where we are cooperating with them to make sure that as board members are appointed, they go through an induction where it's clear what is expected of them. Because in some cases, board members do not perform optimally because it's not clear what is expected of them. So we ask the department, working with the National School of Government, we're going to make sure that those inductions take place and the board members know what is expected of them. So we believe that with the efforts that we are doing, we're going to see improvement in the performance of the SOEs. We are, as Honorable Kirsty mentioned, that we had done performance monitoring for 48 SOEs. We've now increased the number of SOEs to 72. And the intention is that we want to increase it as much as possible so that we can cover close to the 700 SOEs that we have. Once we're able to monitor the performance, we'll be able to make sure that once recommendations are made from the rationalization and restructuring exercise that we're doing, we're able to monitor those performances through the performance monitoring that we'll be doing within the unit. And Honorable Christie mentioned that what assistance is required to improve to ensure that the SOEs implement what is recommended. One of the things that will be very, very helpful is the National State Enterprise Bill to be finalized, because once it's finalized, then we'll be able to establish the centralized agency. With the centralized agency, we'll be able to do all the work that we are doing. Though we are able to do it, it's at a small scale. But once the agency is established, we'll be able to do it on a larger scale. We'll be able to implement the proper standards that needs to be implemented at the SOEs. We'll be able to monitor the performance of those SOEs, and we'll be able to make sure that those recommendations are carried out. Some of the things that we'll be expected to do is that the auditors will be able to monitor how the SOEs are implementing those recommendations, and the SOEs will be required to record the implementing of those recommendations in the annual report, and the auditors will be able to monitor that those are implemented and those will be tabled in Parliament. So that's the help that we would want from the Portfolio Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Besa. Just to quickly reflect on some of the questions from Honourable Dunjo in terms of the provincial oversight. So, I mean, what we do, so what we've reflected in our APP is the provinces where we do direct assessments in terms of their draft institutional plans. And that is Limpopo, Northwest and Northern Cape. However, I mean, those provinces, based on the assessment that we've done, have demonstrated they have capacity challenges to perform that oversight work. So we assist them. However, we also provide oversight across all provinces through the offices of the Premier. So in the other cases, the offices of the Premier coordinate the actual assessment, but we then receive copies of those to do the quality assurance overall. So just to highlight why there's a discrepancy in terms of the targets. I mean, on the issues that were raised regarding the consultancy budgets and the spend, I mean, the CFO can also come in at the end. So, for example, if you look at Program 2, so, I mean, what is on the compensation of employees budget are the personnel or the people that work directly within DPME. However, because the Planning Commission, the commissioners themselves, are not part of the DPME structure, they are not paid out of compensation because they're also part-time and therefore they're under goods and services. So, I mean, CFO, I touched on it, that then slightly skews what we reflect as the budget of what would be sort of consultancy versus compensation. But that's given the nature of the commission, which we can't do away with currently. On the questions by Honourable Apiri in terms of the structure, so there's two parts to that. So the first part is we've got to conclude the NMOG process, the National Macro Organizational Restructure process, which is essentially integrating the functions of DPE in terms of SOE oversight into the department. So that work is basically being concluded. And then as we embark on the white paper process, which will then set a policy position for planning, monitoring, and evaluation. We will also then do the broader organizational redesign, and those processes will work in tandem, essentially. So there are opportunities to say, what does this mean for an ideal future organizational structure for DPME? I mean, in terms of the timelines, the intention is to finish the white paper part of that within this financial year. So we will take the drafts of that, we will come back to the committee to share that, and then to actually update the bill post the white paper process, because we also have to go to cabinet and there's a public consultation process that will only happen in the next financial year. Mr. Besa, you also want to come in?
Thank you very much. There was also another question raised by the Honorable Chair, where she was asking that we probably need to visit SAFCO to see the challenges that the SOE is facing. Actually, we are already working with the Presidential State Enterprise Council. If you remember, the Presidential State Enterprise Council was appointed by the President in 2020. And one of the things that they had to do is to do the rationalization, restructuring, and repositioning of the Schedule 2 SOEs, the large SOEs, the likes of SAFCO, SAFCO, Transnet, RASA, and they've completed that exercise, and they had to revisit some of the SOEs to update those reports, which were done in 2024. They are now being finalized in 2026. And one of the SOEs that was amongst the selected ones was SAFCO. So the report has been completed. We are now in the process of arranging a meeting between our DG with the DG of DFFE, so that we can go through the reports and some of the recommendation on what needs to be done to make sure that SAFCO starts to perform optimally. So once the meeting takes place, there will be a follow-up meeting with the minister and the SOEs to go through some of the challenges and what the recommendations are from the Presidential State Enterprise Council. So I'm glad that the chair raised that, but we are looking at it, and we will make sure that we attend to those challenges. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Bessa. And then maybe just a final one on the issue of private sector investment. So within the medium-term development plan itself, there are targets for investment, which includes both public and private. So the current target we're working towards is the 1.2 trillion. But we then monitor that in terms of the MTDP monitoring reports. So the lead department there is the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, which facilitates that investment. But then we also monitor the extent to which that is actually being achieved. And that will then be reflected in the biannual report. But then also the development indicator report will then reflect how the outcomes for gross fixed capital formation across the country then being achieved. But I think those individual reports and the SOE reports is something we can bring back to the committee and then share the details. And if there is a need for further oversight visits, as the chair was suggesting, with DPME support, then we would also welcome that and support if needed, because we also do the oversight monitoring. I will then just hand back to the DM if he wants to just make some concluding remarks. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for the responses given by the team in the department. Chairperson, I think first of all I want to indicate that I do understand the frustration that members of the committee are citing, but Mr. Lindsay has attempted to give clarity regarding that this is APP, and APP gives an overview of what we are targeting to achieve across the whole department. So we didn't delve into giving an account of how far we come from in the previous. We're giving what this budget, how is this budget allocated, and then what is it that we want to achieve across the whole department. Among the deliverables are specific issues, which from time to time, I think the committee has been in the past able to call the department to deep dive on specific identified areas of work. And that's what I think we'll have to do all the time. And I can even cite the example of the recent evaluation. There was a stage where we discussed evaluation on the parole system, results of which were discussed extensively with the sister department, correctional services, and used in the ongoing review of the system. And a number of other issues that were the department was called to reflect on progress on number of areas. What I think Mr. Bergman also asked, I think Lindsay touched on it, on the geospatial, what is it? How do you call that? The geospatial information system, which I think very soon we are undertaking a roadshow with a eThekwini municipality, for instance, a eThekwini metro, where we have to undertake a roadshow so that we are strategically positioned to advance the operationalization of the GIMS system with a major metropolitan, so that we respond to the issues, deal with the issues at hand. But most importantly, strengthening the district development model on the state capability and institutional development. So that will be the issues that will be dealing with, because it's important to undertake these systems, because you can't just enter into a geospatial space without integrating it with the province and municipalities. And I know that the department is rolling out this program from the 20th, will be strategically engaging with provinces, relevant district municipalities, to ensure that the system is fully functional, to test it on the real system. We have said that in our APP, we highlight the issue that we want to strengthen. Mr. Lindsay said that we want to strengthen our engagement with non-state partners, but also with the state institutions. Development Bank of South Africa, for instance, CSIR, Infrastructure South Africa, Development Bank of South Africa, because the country is moving more on the blended finance on some of the capital projects that are unfolding in the country. And we need to be able to develop capacity to monitor and evaluate the direction that the country is taking. If you talk about the tertiary hospital in Limpopo, which hospitals we visited to look into the model of financing, require us to strengthen our relationship with these state institutions, so that efficiencies are developed in terms of moving forward. We also do undertake a discussion between the threat, for instance, what could be the threat perception regarding the MTDP? Is MTDP priorities, objectives, are they anchored in the department planning? Because overall, we also have a responsibility to look into whether departments' APPs address the MTDP priorities over this period of time. That's why we are driven by 3 priority areas that were highlighted by the president, that cuts across over the period of MTDP, of inclusive growth, job creation, and also reducing the cost of living and addressing state capacity. It is within this understanding that even the monitoring of the state-owned enterprises, composition of boards, and whether they are compliant. And of course, we have to admit, we have not made progress regarding the legislation that is supposed to be overarching in terms of looking into this performance of the boards. But we know that the direct responsibility of state-owned enterprises through the president proclamation was allocated to various government departments. But of our broader oversight, responsibility, monitoring and evaluating their performance is what I think we have a responsibility from time to time. If the committee so decide on reporting on specific matters, we can engage with. So we take some of the issues that are aimed at strengthening this. For instance, we can't boast here and say that we have got the research capacity that we want. It is an area of interest to look into our research capacity and also our ability to crunch data as a Department of Monitoring, Planning and Evaluation from time to time to evaluate a shift in terms of many of the government programs. and ensuring that they accelerate their implementation. Thanks, Chairperson.
No, thank you very much to the DM and also the team led by Lindsay. I don't see that members have follow-up questions, but safe to say we understand, honorable members, we've agreed that this meeting will conclude around 1 o'clock and we'll start with Stats SA after 2, but seemingly we are still early and will then allow the department to release itself and will then remain, honorable members, with States SA and a comfort break of 15 minutes. But honorable members, I think we all agree that we will strengthen our oversight, our ongoing oversight, by requesting the periodic progress reports on the implementation of the APPs from, in fact, giving an account of all departments and entities with specific focus on outcomes and impact rather than compliance. At some point, we'll call the department to come and present the report of all departments and entities, honorable members. And of course, we all agree that we'll clearly monitor the capacity constraints and the budgetary adequacy and also engage the National Treasury with for the National Treasury in terms of because we understand that we still have an outstanding meeting with appropriation, but we want also to check the resource limitations pose risk to effective implementation, because the department can't implement some of their programs, like the program 2, 3, and 4, and 5, because of the budget constraints, which means that meeting with appropriation or the National Treasury is very important. But also, honorable members, will always require department to demonstrate how monitoring and evaluation and, of course, the statistical outputs are informing policy decisions, the budget prioritization, and the corrective actions across all departments. And also, lastly, honorable members, will track the implementation of our previous oversight findings and recommendations, and of course, what was presented before the Portfolio Committee by the Auditor General's findings, and ensure that we identify risk and accompanied by clear mitigation measures and timelines. There was a report that was presented by the AG, and of course, there's a report before this Portfolio Committee on our visit to Mpumalanga, and of course, what have been also raised by Honorable Bergman on the international food market in Mpumalanga, and of course, that the response from the department on issues and challenges from our entities, your DNL, your SAA, there's problems, they've been, in a wide media issues raised about SAA and, of course, SAFCOL. But, of course, honorable members, I think the Department of and DM have also touched the bill that is before us. We know that is an item on the NSE bill that will also, at the end, help the department to do its work. So, honorable members, those are the issues, and we will then allow the department, and we want to thank them, DM, your team, and also the department. And if there are also issues and also follow-ups, members will write to yourselves for written questions and, of course, written responses to the Portfolio Committee. We want to thank all of you, and we then, honorable members, take a 15 minutes comfort break, which is now, it's almost 10 to 11. We will then come back, honorable members, at least at 11:05, so that we allow the statistics the team from Statistics South Africa to prepare themselves, because they were aware that in terms of our order paper, they will be appearing before the portfolio committee at 2 o'clock. Now we'll then take that 15 minutes comfort break and come back at least 11:05, honorable members. And thank you very much, DM Mohai and your team. If you want to remain and listen to the next presentation, you can. But if you've got other commitments, and we're allowing you to exit the platform. Thank you very much, honorable members.
Thank you, Chair, and to members. And we'll take your recommendation that we prioritize SAFCOR as a department, and then we'll give our report on our visit, frontline monitoring to such an entity. Thank you, Chair.